There's something that's been on my mind for a while now, and it's time to put it out there. When people talk about becoming better with others, being more confident, more charismatic, more socially skilled, they usually focus on adding things, books, tips, practice, new habits, but rarely does anyone consider what they might need to remove. And one of the biggest obstacles hiding in plain sight is alcohol. That's right. Eliminating alcohol might just be the fastest, most effective way to unlock massive gains in your social growth. Now, I know that sounds strange. People often react with disbelief. How does the occasional glass of wine with friends affect how I connect with people? But the answer isn't just surprising, it's transformative. The truth is, alcohol quietly stunts your social development in ways that aren't immediately obvious. And the impact runs deep, even when you think you're in control. Let's start with something most people never even think about. What happens to your passive ability to grow socially when you drink? Without realizing it, your brain is constantly absorbing micro moments in conversations, subtle cues, the timing of jokes, how people respond to body language. That's how you improve, by noticing and learning unconsciously through real-world exposure. But the moment alcohol enters the equation, that learning slows down. Imagine trying to master the piano or get better at public speaking while slightly buzzed. It just wouldn't work. You wouldn't retain the fine details. And social interaction is no different. The irony is, most people reach for a drink in exactly the situations where they want to perform better. Parties, events, networking, dates. They think a drink or two helps them relax, helps them be themselves. But in truth, it hijacks the very learning process that would have helped them actually become more confident in the long run. It's like putting on training wheels every time you ride a bike. You'll never feel stable without them. Beyond the passive side, there's something even more damaging. Drinking crushes your ability to reflect and improve intentionally. Think about it. Growth comes from feedback. Athletes review game footage, performers watch replays, and in social settings, you get better by reviewing what happened. You go home, you mentally replay the night. What worked, what felt awkward, what you wish you'd done differently, but that's impossible when alcohol is in the mix. Your memory gets foggy. You can't trace the flow of conversations, can't remember how you opened, how someone reacted, or why the energy shifted at a certain moment. It becomes a blur, and the opportunity for honest self-reflection disappears. And let's not forget the courage factor. One of the most critical parts of becoming more socially capable is confronting your own fear. Fear of rejection, fear of awkwardness, fear of being judged. And every time you use a drink to cover that fear, you miss the chance to face it head-on. You give away the power to grow braver. Courage is like a muscle, it gets stronger every time you use it. But alcohol acts like a numbing agent. You might feel braver in the moment, but you're not actually building anything real. You're just borrowing confidence from a bottle, and that loan always comes with interest. I've lived through this firsthand. There was a time when I thought I had built up real comfort in social settings. I'd worked on myself, read the books, pushed boundaries, made progress. But one night in New York shattered that illusion. I was out with friends, just another night, nothing particularly special planned. And then I saw her, someone across the room who immediately caught my attention. It was one of those rare moments where you know you want to act, to introduce yourself, to make a connection. And instead of moving, instead of trusting my instincts or relying on my training, the first thought that popped into my head was, go grab a few drinks, you'll feel better. Then go talk to her. In that instant, I felt embarrassed, not because of the fear, but because I realized I was still using alcohol as a shield. I wasn't the person I thought I had become. Despite everything I'd worked on, there was still a reliance on something external to feel enough. And what's worse, I wasn't alone. Look around any bar, any party, any corporate mixer, and you'll see the same pattern playing out again and again. People clutching glasses not just for taste or pleasure, but for comfort, for cover. Not chemically addicted, but emotionally dependent. And that realization sparked a fire in me. I knew then that I needed to stop drinking in social situations, not out of moral superiority, but out of a deep desire to finally get out of my own way. To stop holding back the version of myself I'd been working so hard to bring forward. Because here's the brutal truth. If you only feel outgoing, relaxed, and confident after a drink, that version of you doesn't exist when it really counts. You've outsourced your strength. And that's not growth, that's a mask. From that day on, I made the decision. No more drinking in places where I was supposed to be growing. Not if I cared about my future. Not if I respected the effort I had already put in. And slowly things started to shift. I became more present, more observant. I remembered more. I improved faster. My confidence wasn't fake anymore. It was earned. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. At first, it's awkward. You'll feel exposed. You'll see others having fun and wonder if you're missing out. You'll be tempted to grab a glass just to fit in or take the edge off. But I promise you, if you resist that urge, something amazing starts to happen. You begin to find your own rhythm. You realize you're actually pretty interesting without needing anything else. You discover what real fun feels like when it's not artificially inflated. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You also start to see things for what they really are. You'll notice when events aren't genuinely fun, they were just tolerable because you were tipsy. You'll sense when friendships are based on mutual growth versus mutual escapism. And most importantly, you'll learn to trust yourself, to carry your own energy into a room without needing liquid reinforcement. So what if you chose differently the next time you're invited out? Imagine saying no to the voice inside your head that whispers, "Just one drink. It'll help you blend in, you'll be more likable, you'll enjoy it more." Imagine not giving that voice any power, even when everyone around you has a glass in hand. Because the real challenge isn't in refusing the drink, it's in discovering what's underneath that desire. When you're used to leaning on alcohol, going out without it can feel like showing up to battle without armor. But slowly, you realize the battle was never real. The pressure you felt wasn't from others, it came from within. And when that armor comes off, you don't become weaker. You actually begin to find where your real strength lives. You start learning how to spark genuine laughter without relying on artificial confidence. You begin building your stories, your humor, your rhythm from scratch, and that makes them unshakable. You sharpen your sense of timing. You learn when to speak, when to pause, when to listen. You stop being an echo of what alcohol makes you and start becoming the most authentic, present version of yourself. You'll also begin seeing what kind of social energy you truly enjoy. When you remove the buzz, you start filtering out environments that drain you. You realize which conversations are real and which only felt meaningful because you were drunk. And that realization empowers you to curate your space. You'll stop going out just to escape boredom and start spending time where growth can actually happen. Sure, there'll be people who don't get it. Friends who tease you, call you boring, try to hand you drinks with a laugh. And in those moments, your reaction becomes the real test. If you can stand tall and respond with ease, if you can smile and decline without guilt or explanation, then you've already won a battle that most people don't even know they're fighting. And here's something else. Once you start navigating social settings with a clear mind, you develop something rare, social sharpness. That edge makes you more observant. You notice body language more. You catch shifts in tone, glances, hesitations, and that awareness gives you a tremendous advantage. While others are blurred by alcohol, you're fully tuned in. You become the person in the room who actually sees what's going on, and that makes you magnetic. Even your sense of humor improves. Real humor comes from awareness, not slurred boldness. Timing, wit, subtle facial reactions, these things don't come through when you're dulled. But when you're sharp, fully present, and feeling everything in real time, you get better at making people laugh in a way that sticks. You become the guy or girl that people remember, not because you were loud, but because you were memorable. Over time, this all adds up. You're not just avoiding bad nights or hangovers. You're investing in your long-term self. Every sober interaction is a rep in the gym of self-improvement, and each one gives you more confidence to tackle the next. Eventually, you don't even miss the drink. It starts to feel like a distraction, and you see others using it as a crutch, and you understand, but you no longer need it. The reward. You stop living in borrowed moments of courage. You begin carrying your confidence with you, fully earned, fully owned. And that changes everything. It changes how you walk into a room. It changes how people respond to you. It changes how deeply you connect. And it gives you something that's hard to find these days: authentic presence. You'll even notice your recovery time from social events improves. There's no next morning haze, no groggy regrets, no wondering what you said or did. Just clarity, reflection, growth. You get to move forward every time, rather than feeling like you took a step back. And the best part? It multiplies into other areas of your life. Your fitness goals get easier to hit. Your mornings start earlier. Your mental health improves. You start showing up more consistently for your friends, your career, your future. And all of that came from one powerful decision: not to numb, not to mask, not to fake your confidence. Because when you stop relying on alcohol to navigate the social world, you don't lose your edge. You finally sharpen it. You stop pretending and start becoming. You stop floating through half-present nights and start building unforgettable moments stone by stone, with real memories and real emotion. This isn't about being perfect. It's not about judging anyone who drinks. It's about choosing intentional growth over automatic escape. It's about recognizing when something isn't serving you anymore and being bold enough to put it down, even if everyone else around you is still holding on. So the next time you're out and the drinks start flowing, pause. Ask yourself, what am I really after? Is it laughter, connection, courage, fun? Because if it is, you don't need a drink to get there. You already have all the tools inside you. You just have to give them room to breathe. And if someone asks why you're not drinking, you don't need a speech. A simple smile, a shrug, just felt like being clear-headed tonight is more than enough. You don't owe anyone a justification for taking control of your own development. Eventually, your energy will start to influence others. They'll notice how steady you are, how calm, how you remember details, how you hold conversations. And some of them will get curious. They'll start pulling back too. You'll lead without preaching, simply by showing what's possible. There's a version of you that's magnetic, grounded, and fully alive. A version that doesn't flinch in the face of social pressure. A version that doesn't use a drink to fake fun or feel worthy. That version is already inside you, waiting to be chosen, trained, and trusted. So if you're ready, make this your shift. Skip the drink, face the room with clarity. Let the tension teach you. Let the awkwardness shape you. Let the silence stretch you. And in time, that discomfort will give way to power. Real, earned, unshakable power. You don't need a drink to be interesting. You need presence. You don't need to match their energy. You need to bring your own. And you don't need to escape the moment. You need to meet it fully right here, right now, and when you do, everything begins to change.